Yo, hello everyone. I'm not even sure how to even start this, man. This has been a long time coming. We've been trying to get this kicked off for quite a while now. But yeah, welcome to Tech 3 Show. It's a weird name we give ourselves, but I think overall, I think it suits us as a three collective of individuals that love tech, more specifically cloud focused. But yeah, again, apologies. This is sort of impromptu. We got already one person in the chat. Abraham, what's up, man? But yeah, this is a podcast that we're going to be talking a bunch of stuff of exactly what we think is happening in the tech space. And we're going to be focusing more directly on the cloud, even branch out of the cloud, do a bunch of stuff, right? So we're excited to sort of bring you along in this podcasting journey where we got going. But yeah, we're excited to get this started. But let's give ourselves a quick introduction of who we are, our background, and I'll pass it on to my colleagues here too as well. As on Danielski to sort of introduce himself, then we have some agenda items that we're going to cover today. So let's kick it in.
Sure.
So I'm Joel Asante. I'm a solutions architect. Prior to getting myself involved in the cloud space, I would say I was a college student. I focused a lot more with software development. So I was doing software development with robotics, automation, anything robotics or automation in the aerospace industry. So that's what I worked on, I would say, for about a couple of years. And if you look through my LinkedIn page, you would definitely see that, right? You see all the stuff that I've worked on, all the different projects that I've been a part of. But yeah, to keep it short and not rant over my background, I'll leave it there. But yeah, I'll pass it on to my other colleagues here that to introduce himself. I'll pass
Yeah.
it on to
So
Danielski.
I'm gonna go next. Okay. Okay. Donies Yotano here. So before becoming a solutions architect, I used to be an English teacher. So I taught for probably 11 years, and then one day I just realized that I was going nowhere as an English teacher. So I decided to study and become a bachelor in software engineering, and then I went for a master degree in computer science, and I decided to kind of teach AWS. So I became an instructor, right, and was able to teach to different students for probably 3 or 4 years, and that's how I became more involved in the cloud, right? I was able to, with a lot of hard work and dedication, was able to obtain all the AWS certifications, all of them, the 12. So I'm a recipient of the Golden Jacket, right, which is something that is very wanted by many people. But I'm here today, so pretty short my introduction. But as we go along with this program, we get to know each other better, right? I'm gonna pass it on to Isu.
Thank you, Danielski. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing good. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Azal Mohammed. Born and raised actually in Sudan, and shout out to my people out in Sudan. Struggling in those tough times, and I hope everyone stays safe. So, a little bit about myself. I've been working in the tech industry for about 5+ years now, and I had my first job as a software developer working at my university right after college, and had some experience in the educational industry, working mostly on student information systems, ERPs, things of that sort. So I came from a .NET background, and have a little bit of experience in C Sharp, WinForms, .NET stuff, SQL Server, and stuff like that. Also worked with Visual Basic, and it's a little legacy for the new folks, but it's still being used. And fast forward, got exposed a little bit in the healthcare industry, learning about IoT devices, specifically patient systems, and worked a couple of years creating, dashboards, configurations, and logging reports.
Yeah.
So fast forward again, I switched my career a little bit and wanted to try something new instead of developing all the time. Landing a job as a cloud solutions architect, and this gave me a more perspective about tech in general. And I thought it was very interesting, at a high level, coming from like a developer background, how business interacts with tech and how those align with each other. So I think specifically for this show, we're going to cover all those different roles, and maybe you could learn something new, might get inspired, and yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah. We've also been involved in some front end development as well, ISO like React, and maybe the back end with GraphQL, and a little bit about DynamoDB as a database. So we've been working all over the place, trying to become more well-rounded in terms of knowledge and experience in the cloud. So we're here to kind of transmit that knowledge to you guys and cover a wide range of topics that are going to help you to move forward in your career as a potential cloud engineer or someone that has to do with the cloud.
Absolutely. And this is a sort of a great segue to talk about exactly why we made this podcast, right? This podcast essentially made for individuals in our community, which is our LinkedIn community, to sort of learn about the role of what an SA is, or a solutions architect, or some people call it a solutions engineer, what that role consists of, right? And what do we do in our roles to solve problems for customers of any industry, right? But before we even get to that, we're going to discuss how we got to our roles, right? Like we had said, we all came from a technical background, whether it's programming, computer, .NET, we're programming robots, whatever it is. What made you look to the cloud and say, hey, I don't want to go the software engineering route or the software development route. I want to go the cloud computing route. What made you choose that route? That's the first question I have. And so that viewers can understand, again, there are possible routes in tech, and not just the software development path is the only route, right? What made you guys go that route when you're choosing or looking for something in your career?
Well, in my case, like I said, I used to be an English teacher, and then I went to a boot camp to become a full-time, like a full stack developer, working in the back end with SQL Server, SQL, and also maybe EC2 instances, and then in the front end, React. So after I finished that boot camp, I was relocated to Virginia to kind of become a software developer for a company, right? But it was a short-term contract. So I have to come back home. And when I came back home, I had no job. So all of a sudden, I got a phone call from a recruiter that they needed a cloud instructor at a school. And I said, well, I don't know anything about the cloud. And they said, but I will give it a try. So I was hired to teach for the cloud practitioner exam, right? And in that moment, I didn't have a single certification. So not by choice, I was maybe forced to get the cloud practitioner certification. So that was the first time when I tasted, had the feeling of getting my first certification. It was an amazing experience. So little by little, I began to fall in love with the cloud, right? And all the things that you can accomplish and all the flexibility that it has, right? Compared to a traditional data center at an office, right? And then it's just maybe love at first sight. And that just ignited my passion to go for more certifications and become more proficient in the cloud. So that's how I started my journey, right?
Gotcha.
And today, after 4 years, so I'm really enjoying what I do, my job, my work, and how I can help customers with their problems, concerns, and propose solutions, so that they can be happy, right? And they can have what they're looking for.
Question for you: when you say
Right.
love at first sight, what do you mean by love at first sight? Is it sort of like you see someone that you're interested in? Is that sort of that feeling that you had when you initially got to the cloud? Because I have my own personal story of how I got into the cloud, so I can get into that for a second. But what was that initial, hey, this might actually be something that I want to do prolong or long term instead of going the traditional route of software development, like I had mentioned earlier? What instant in you made you say, hey, this is it?
Okay. Well, I mean, as it was a new topic for me, I had never talked about the cloud. Probably when I was a software developer, probably using maybe virtual servers or virtual databases. At some point, I had some familiarity with it, but as I began to get into it more, I would say more focused on that, I began to understand that that was my calling, right? It's a different experience. It's a different. It's like you have to adjust your mindset to understand how the cloud works because it's a different ball game. It's not the same as something so inflexible like the servers in the on premises. Then you start to understand that you're not talking about hardware anymore. You're talking about software, which is flexible, right? And that's
Yep.
Yep.
the core. I would say the core topics around the cloud that you don't work with something that is fixed. You work with something that is flexible. So that's how I began to understand. And the more you understand it, the more you get to love it, right?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
we tend to hate what we don't understand, right? But as you start understanding it, you start feeling something different.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have my own personal background story because, again, like you said, we all didn't really know what the cloud was prior to working in the cloud as much.
Right.
But my background was more of, hey, I had a project at my previous role where I had to program, like I had mentioned earlier, I had to program robots and automate those robots. More specifically, AMRs, which are, those mobile robots you see deliver stuff in New York City, SFO, like those type of robots. That was my role, was programming those type of robots. So in
Right.
programming them, I found it difficult in terms of actually simulating what that robot would do in a virtual environment before we actually take it to a real world street to actually deliver stuff. So in the simulation process, it was quite difficult. So I looked on the internet. I was like, what could make my job a lot more easier, right? What is there a solution out there that can make this process a lot more easier for me? So in looking through that, I found a service in one of the cloud providers that says, hey, this service can do this. And I didn't even know exactly what that is, right? So I looked through the service specifically, and lo and behold, that service that I used pretty much saved my whole summer, right? It was an entire summer of me trying to figure out what I could do to make my job easier. The service, RoboMaker, pretty much helped me out tremendously. So that was my first sort of taste into the cloud. And after I tasted that whole, hey, this is at a click of a button, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. Oh man, this makes my job easier. So essentially what I'm trying to say is the initial first taste of what the cloud can do for you, especially for folks that typically operate in an on-premises setting, it takes your whole expectation of where your work can pretty much go to. The sky's the limit, right? Whatever you want to do in the cloud, oh man, you can do whatever. So in that sense, yeah, that's my first taste.
How I have a question for you, Joe. Were you aware of the cloud when you began to work with robots and robotics?
So to be honest, no, I was not. I was mostly doing on-prem stuff. It was, hey, get this robot to move around, go figure it out. Right. So a lot of times I was doing all the stuff on premises. It was,
Joe,
hey,
Awesome.
did you know how big the cloud was? Like, was there only like specific services you used within that project?
so in that specific project, I was mostly focused on one or two services that enabled my robot to do certain actions, right? Whether it's taking advantage of like machine learning capabilities or taking advantage of robotic specific services. That was what I was looking for. Everything else I didn't know about, right? I didn't really have to touch it to even learn about what the cloud provided, but just the few services that I interacted with made me look into the cloud as an environment where I can sort of turn my career to. So that's where I inevitably sort of fell in love with the cloud. Was, hey, it helped me out with my project that I needed to get done, and I learned more of it after that project ended. So that was sort of my journey. But what about yourself, Ezel?
Yeah, my journey is kind of similar to you guys, like you and Danieski. I didn't know anything about the cloud. I've been hearing about it. It's a buzzword. Cloud this, the cloud, the cloud, the cloud. But I didn't really know what the capabilities of it until like I worked with it like recently. So my first job was very limited because I was working on like student information systems, and at that time on-prem we only had one server. So I always had a thought in my mind, like, how can this thing scale? Like, how we only have one server, and if this server fails, it's a wrap. So I never really knew like the concept of the cloud at that time. And if I knew about that, it would have changed a lot of things, especially when it comes to like system design and stuff like that.
Right. What is actually funny is that you talk to your family about the cloud. They ask you, "Hey, where do you work?" You say, "In the cloud." What? In the cloud? How's that possible? So it's kind of it has an abstract meaning as well, right? The cloud. What is the cloud, right? And even for people that are starting in this journey, you tell them, just give me a definition of the cloud, right? It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around that, right? But I used to, when I was beginning of this journey, people ask me, what is the cloud? And I would say, well, maybe the cloud can be like a walk-in closet that you walk in, you get what you want, and then as you start walking forward, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when you walk backward, it just becomes smaller, smaller, smaller. So it's kind of elastic, kind of it contracts, it expands. So it's very funny the way that you get to explain to people what the cloud is. But I guess that there are multiple ways to do it. You can use lay terms to explain to people what the cloud is, and that's what you do with customers when they're beginning in the cloud, right? You have to find a way to tell them about the cloud in very simple language so that they can understand what we are talking about. Right.
Absolutely. And this is a great segue to sort of move to our next topic. But before we do that, I just want to give a quick shout out to all the individuals in the chat that are, again, we appreciate the support. We appreciate the love from our colleagues, but also individuals that we've met in the tech community in the cloud space. They're mentioning that they're looking forward to our podcast in terms of our knowledge and what we've seen in the industry, but also sharing some of our experiences and also some of our knowledge of what we've done, what we've learned, and for individuals looking to get into the space, wanted some advice on it. So we appreciate you guys for dialing in from wherever you are calling in. We appreciate the love and support. But again, while you are at that, please, we are also on YouTube. So please make sure to like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube page. It's on YouTube. It's called Tech3. Tech3 is, again, it's us here, and we're going to be doing quite a lot for hopefully for our audience. So yeah, we appreciate the love and support. But that moves us to our second question that I had for us today, right? Our second question that I have personally was, how would you define? So let's say if one of your family, like whenever I speak to my family and I say I work in the cloud, they don't know what the cloud means. So for individuals that are looking to get into the cloud space or do anything specifically in the cloud, what would you tell them to tell whoever they're speaking to, or how would you define the cloud to them if they were to ask?
So let's just imagine that someone asks you what the cloud is, and you say, okay, the cloud is the on-demand delivery of compute power, storage, databases via the internet on a pay-as-you-go basis. So what is that? What are you talking about, right? So basically, it's just like talking to a baby about the cloud. So I remember going back in my interview times, I got a question that I would never forget. How would you explain to a child what a database is? I said, wow, I never thought about that, right? And then I couldn't answer that question, but after the interview, right? My mentor told me, okay, think about a toolbox. So a database is like a toolbox that you can put objects in and you can take objects out, right? And all of them are related to each other because they are in the same toolbox. So think about that, right? And then we come back to the cloud, and then we have to explain to a layperson what a cloud is. So we can say simply that a cloud is basically via the internet, and you pay for what you use, right? You pay only for what you use on a daily basis, right? If you don't use it, you don't pay for it, right?
Gotcha.
And
How?
and that's still not clear, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's still not clear in that sense. So what I typically like to say is, hey, it's just the internet, right? It's just
Yeah,
the internet. Everything runs pretty much in today's society. Everything runs on the cloud. So
right.
when let's say my mom asks me, my family asks me, it's like, hey, what is the cloud? I've been hearing a lot of buzzwords or terms about the cloud. They hear about Netflix runs on the cloud. They hear about whatever company runs on the cloud, right? They're like,
Mhm.
what is the cloud? Well, guess what? It's the internet. So whatever they're using on the phone, just know that whatever servers or backend that's running their processes to deliver them their application they're using, just know that it's going through the cloud, and the cloud are not necessarily the actual clouds, it's just the cloud. So for individuals that are looking to get in this space, like I said earlier, it's a great space to get yourself into. But yeah, I'll pass it on to Ezel. Do you have any thoughts,
Yeah,
comments?
yeah. This is actually a really, really interesting topic. Like, especially like when you're dealing with customers, how you can explain this as like more of an analogy. And the best way, like I put it, or how I understand the cloud, it's basically, you could think of it as like, um, you know, a light switch, right? So when you light up your house or you switch it up, you're switching up a light bulb, and that's the way you could think of it. And in this case, you only pay for the electricity that you use. So, if you have, let's say, multiple electrical appliances, like let's say you have 10 fridges, 10 washing machines. Now that could rack up with cost, right? So you need probably like an entire powerhouse to use that, right? So you don't need to maintain all that. So with the cloud, it's basically what you use. You can think of it dealing with customers. Yeah, you could think of it as like a utility company, where it makes your job easier by just supplying that electricity in the quantity that you need. Very
Yeah,
simple. Yeah.
yeah. Same principle applies to a water tap, right? Same thing. The water company provides the water, and then you can just switch it on, switch it off, and then you pay only for the water that you consume. That's it. No more than that. So that's the principle in the cloud, that you pay only for what you use, and it's one of the pricing models of the cloud. So and then we can get into the benefits of the cloud, and that's one of them, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I know we sort of try to keep this for 30 minutes as an intro, but again, this is phenomenal in terms of great conversations. But I want to sort of segue away from the cloud specifically. I just want to give the audience a chance to learn a little bit about us as an individual. What are some of the tech stuff that you guys are seeing in the tech space that excites you, right? Obviously, we're all cloud geeks here, but what other tech stuff do you guys see in the tech space that excites you? Just to see what's happening in our industry. What excites you in the tech space?
Yeah, I think that begs saying that generative AI, right?
Yeah,
Artificial
that's
intelligence.
a topic. Yeah.
So what's going on now? How many companies are using it, right? The use of artificial intelligence, and that use with the cloud, it's really an explosion that is happening right now, and at the tech space, right? This is being used in every I think every place. Everyone is using this, and if they're not using it, they're about to use it, right?
For sure.
How many things they can accomplish with this, and it's even scary, the pace that this is taking, how fast this is growing, and there are people that are enthusiastic, and other people are scared of what this is turning into, right?
So, question for you, Danieski. So, let's say, I mean, the people that I have interacted with that use Gen AI or even use stuff that uses Gen AI. So like the GPT models that we have out there, and they're like, hey, ChatGPT can do this, or whatever platform can do this. Does that scare you? Does that scare any of you guys? Because I know, shoot, if I had like, let's say, ChatGPT when I was in college, man, it would have tremendously saved a lot of time of my day, right? It's like
Writing
the
an
amount of
essay.
stuff it could do. Exactly. So I know it goes into the whole ethical process of, hey, does this better our lives or is it a hindrance in our lives, right? You have actors that are scared that's going to take their jobs. You have writers that are scared it's going to take their jobs. Is Gen AI something that we should be aware of, but should we be scared of? Like, is that a great question to ask?
Yeah, I think there's a concept of responsible AI, right? And there's some restrictions that have been, I would say restriction, maybe some patterns and protocols that have been set in place so that people can be responsible and not use it beyond the limits. Because I don't know, I was watching the TV the other day, and there were some robots that were creating robots. So that's scary, right? And then it seems that we are in the movie I, Robot with Will Smith, that all the robots were functioning right until one day that one of them rebelled. So that's could be scary at some point, but I think if it is controlled properly, it can have a very huge impact for the better, for sure.
Absolutely. And I am one for say I enjoy utilizing Gen AI because again, it streamlines all the stuff that I do personally in my personal life, right? I need to make a recipe. I don't I usually text my mom to ask for that, but now it's like, hey, I can ask Gen AI or ChatGPT to go make this for me, right? It's more of like an assistant now. But again, it goes into the ethical process where it is ethically good to use for this thing or that thing? Is it going to affect jobs? Is it going to take over industries? That's where it sort of crosses the line. But I think
Right.
overall, my personal opinion, I think it's a great thing for society because it's going to take a lot of the mundane tasks we as humans we usually do and have a robot do it, right? So yeah, Ezra, what do you think about it?
It is a pretty hot topic, and I think around generated like AI, ML, when it comes to that, there's always ethical things that people will always talk about when it comes to that. But for me personally, I think I use it as a tool. So it's something that I feel like it accelerates the way I work, and you can use any tool, whatever that makes you more productive, just to deliver whatever you're working on. So I think it's something it's good, and at the same time it should be used wisely. So when it comes to ethics and how the way you use it, that's something that you just have to be careful with. So it's really a topic of debate, and I think
Yeah.
it depends on the person's perspective and what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I believe that any tool in the right hands can be really, really, really good, right?
Right.
But if it falls in the wrong hands, it might be a problem. So I always heard that what is a blessing can turn into a curse,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
So as long as we use it responsibly and for a good purpose, right, and objective, I don't see any problem in it. The problem is when we just pass the line of responsibility, right, and then it just goes south. Like no one can control it, right?
So you're saying the line is where you draw the line. So let's say the line is, would you consider this crossing the line where a student can take Gen AI and be able to utilize Gen AI in a responsible way to make or improve their grades?
What do you,
And
what do you think my response is being an instructor for many years? So I
I
don't
mean,
think
like
I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right, right?
that's why I had initially said if I was back in school, it would have tremendously made me more efficient, right? I would have been able to easily, hey, do this for me, do that for me, right? It's a tool like Ezra had mentioned, right? It's a tool to enable me to do certain things. And what do you use tool for? Is to be your assistant to enable you to do certain things. So might as well use Gen AI or whatever platform that utilizes Gen AI to. bolster your productivity. So to me, I would say yes, I would utilize it during school. But again, it comes back to ethical issues and concerns about that. But
Right.
If it is unethical, then it's not good, right?
yeah, that is true. But
For sure, it's a topic for debate, but it's I think it's something that it's a I guess you could consider it like a miracle that it came like these couple of years, something like this came, and people are actually using it for good things. So, like you said, Joel, like using it for finding recipes instead of calling, let's say your parents about a certain thing, you can just quickly get that result, which is really good.
yep, absolutely.
Maybe you want to learn how to write an essay, right? You can take that as a reference and then write your own essay, right? Not use the essay that ChatGPT created for you. So that will be the problem, right? That's when it's not ethical at all, right? But at least you can see how an essay is written, and then you can write your own, right? But
Exactly.
that's a different thing, right?
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Again, just a quick segue. If there's any questions that any of you are in the chat, whether it's on YouTube or LinkedIn, through my LinkedIn profile, if there's any questions that you specifically have, please again comment, reach out to us personally to ask any question. Again, we're fostering this community that we're slowly building up to help anyone that is, again, early career talent. I didn't know much about the cloud. I didn't know much about tech in general. I'll say, actually, reword my words. I knew a lot about tech, but not to the extent of what I know now. So it's helpful to have someone that's been there, done it, advise you on certain things. So again, we would love to sort of answer any questions that individuals have in the chat. Personally, reach out to us. But if there's any questions, please, again, feel free to ask in the chat too as well.
Yeah, I think it's good to kind of set the expectations of what we're going to cover in future sessions, right? We're planning to do this probably once a week or maybe twice a week, depending on frequency, but at least once a week. And so what we're thinking so far is to have discussions about a specific topic, a specific concerns. What is the daily life? Or what is a day of a solutions architect like, right? Things like that. And also we're going to cover demos. We're going to go to the console and do demos of things that customers are asking for, probably in preparation for an exam if you're maybe trying to clear one of the AWS certifications. So we're going to be covering all that. That's going to be the purpose of this show from today on, right? And also, if you guys have any topic that you want us to talk about, you can post it in the comments of the video, or probably contact us through LinkedIn, our profiles right there. So, and then we'll be more than happy to go over that and answer all the questions, just like Joel said. Right.
So you're essentially saying that there's more to come, right? Not just this small snippet of what we're doing. It's not just an introduction on who we are, but there's more planned than this, right? Again, this is very impromptu podcast that we came up with.
Joe, I lost for a minute. Can you repeat that again?
No, absolutely. I said this is an impromptu sort of podcast that we were like, hey, we've been always getting questions on our LinkedIn profile. I get tons and tons of questions daily. So let's hear from the people, right? So again, the whole point of doing this is to sort of engage our audience. We have a YouTube channel that we post demos, we post YouTube videos, we post how to do things, whether it's about a specific thing, a specific solution, a specific domain, or even how to attain certifications in the cloud space, right? I know a lot of people reach out to me asking about, hey, I see you got the certification. What materials did you use to attain these certifications? So again, we're here to answer those questions because amongst us, we have quite a lot of certifications. I don't want to count right now, but we have quite a bit of certifications that we can help you guys get there. But be aware, certifications itself are not going to be the all and be all. So we're going to be implementing demos on how to do certain things for you to boost your experience on how to build certain things on a specific cloud vendor or whatever cloud provider is. So again, this whole thing we're doing here is something that we've been passionate about and we've been always wanting to do. We just haven't had the time to do it. So again, any questions, feel free.
And to what Joel and Tineski have been saying, we're planning, and maybe you guys could help us We try to bring in like subject matter experts, people like within the field that have experience in particular verticals or domains that would actually share their knowledge and experience within the stream itself. So that might be an interesting thing just to pick their
Absolutely.
brains.
We just happen to have one in the chat. This is one of our network as people. So probably in the future we're gonna have him here with us, right?
Yes.
And also before becoming a solutions architect, I always dreamed about seeing a solutions architect. I don't know why. So I was teaching AWS. I was teaching AWS. Say I'm just a simple instructor. What is a solutions architect? I want to see one, right? So you guys have three of us here who are solutions architects. So you right now have what I didn't have before. So you're seeing three, and I couldn't see one at the time. So it's pretty good to have active solutions architect right now that are working as such, and then you can have questions and answer and just ask away, and then we'll be able to get back to you with any answers. We don't have it at the moment, but if you have them right on the spot, we're gonna answer the question and to the best of our abilities, right?
I love the fact that you say you dreamt about it. What do you mean by dreamt
I don't know,
about it?
man. I was teaching AWS. I was teaching the cloud without having any idea of what a solutions architect is, right? Or was, right? So, and then we talked about solutions architects, talked about technical account managers, the TAMs, and said, what are these people? What do they do, right? And then we'd say, well, TAM, a technical account manager works at the enterprise level. And then we say, okay, a TAM knows more than a solutions architect. That's what I thought, right? But it's basically the same job at different positions, right? Different names.
And Yeski, that's pretty interesting that you brought that up, because
Yeah,
maybe in future sessions we actually can go through each of these roles and talk about what they do at an enterprise level. What does that
Right.
mean? What is
Right.
an actual solutions architect? What's a technical account manager? What's an account manager? What are these roles, and specifically how do they play within an organization or institution? So
Yeah, and we can bring on board. We can bring data analysts. We can bring database administrators. We can bring a
developers.
technical account manager to talk about their jobs, what they do on a daily basis. What's the job of an account manager or the technical account manager, and then us, what's the daily life of a solutions architect, right? So we can have multiple things. So that's the purpose of this show. We can have a varied sessions with different topics, different people, and then we can get to know people that are doing the job, right? And actively as different positions. So that's gonna be our purpose from now on, right? Gonna make this as interactive as possible so you guys can learn, right? And enjoy what we do here for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I don't have any other questions in mind at this point in time, but again, we just want to say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Joe, why do we talk about the cloud at the beginning, right? Why not
Yes.
just mention a little briefly what the benefits are? Why would I choose the cloud over on-prem? So to talk about the cloud, but what are the benefits of the cloud, right? Why would I choose the cloud instead of? So that could be a question that some people can get as well. And I'm now interviewing you, so you're the one that needs to answer that for sure.
No, absolutely. There are multiple different reasons why a specific company or a specific individual might choose the cloud, and like there are actual benefits that are structured that tells you the reason why it's beneficial to use the cloud. But from my perspective, again, it made my job when I was working on robotics a lot more easier, right? The ease of it, the experimentation that I was able to experiment on when the cloud was a lot more better than I could in on premises. But the core explanation of the benefits of the cloud were, I think, one, the cost of it, right? Again, you only pay for the stuff that you use. So usually at an on-premise site, at the company that I previously worked at, we usually will provision all the stuff or get all the servers, whatever we're using, we'll get it in bulk, right? Or get in a certain pack. Then whatever is not used, essentially it's being wasted space. But in the cloud, like I mentioned, again, money runs our society. Money runs the world. So You only pay for what you use. It's a huge benefit of the cloud, right? You don't want to pay for something that you're not using. It's being wasteful.
Okay,
Right?
would it be fair to say that you're trading capital expenses for variable expenses?
Exactly. That was the exact word I was about to say, right? You're trading capital expense for variable expenses where you give money out for the services that you receive, right? You're not giving money out for services that are being wasted and you're not utilizing. So one huge thing that I like personally is I only pay for stuff that I actually get to see the value out of. So if I'm not seeing value out of service being wasted, why would I want to pay for that? And that's what we see a lot in on-premises site, right? It's stuff being wasted, but it's already bought. You've already purchased those servers in this case. You've already purchased those storage bins or whatever it is, right? But yeah. Another thing I would like to say is, and this is my personal favorite thing of the cloud is you get to experiment, right? On premises, it's going to be very expensive to experiment, right? It all comes back to cost, right? It's very expensive to experiment with stuff. If anyone here in the chat has ever used the cloud or utilized any cloud provider, you get to see how you get to play around with stuff, right? There are a lot of free tier on the cloud itself, right? So a lot of cloud providers offer different free tier options where if you want to test out a database, you want to test out a server, you want to test out some machine learning capabilities, guess what? You don't even have to pay for them. You can go in there, play around with it, test it out. You see how you like it, you check it out, and you can even build your production stuff on it. Even though it's not recommended, you don't want to build production stuff on free tier, but you get to see what the capabilities of the cloud is. So that was one of my reasons why I got to use the cloud, and that's how I got started. It was the free tier, the capabilities of it. So that's a huge benefit of that. Sorry, I know, Dinesh, you're eager to jump in.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask Izo. I'm just asking the questions now, right? I'm not answering anything. I'm going to rely on you guys. Izo, how long does it take us? How long does it take us to be global when it comes to the cloud?
It's minutes, man. So if you want to be global, you don't really have to do. It's really simple. Like you don't have to procure hardware. You don't have to wait for all that to come in. And just to go back a little bit about the benefits of the cloud. So when you're dealing with cloud computing, you're not buying the actual hardware, right? You're leasing it. So cloud computing makes it easy to start resources within minutes. If you have, let's say you want to start your application, you want all your users to be within Europe, you can do that. If you want to have them all in the US, it's very simple. So that's one of like the benefits, and you have benefits like scalability. If you reach a certain threshold, you can scale out or scale in depending on the number of people, number of requests, all that good stuff. That all comes back down to what Joe had mentioned, which is cost. So you want to keep your costs low, and you want to experiment. And if you're a small business, you can't really buy all this hardware, that costs thousands of dollars. It's kind of difficult for a small business. So this would be much more easier for them to move to the cloud. It makes it more easier and quicker.
So can we say that instead of focusing on servers, we can focus on our business and customers, right? We can say that. Okay, good. So that's we talked about the benefits of the cloud. So those are some of the most common ones. We still have more, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's what Ezra had said. Sort of, right? Again, you have businesses that are not huge enterprises, right? So it's sort of with the cloud, it increases or actually decreases the barrier of entry, right? So everyone can come in at a very same level playing field, right? You might have big enterprise customers that are in the thousands of dollars or the millions of dollars utilizing the same cloud provider or utilizing services that a charity organization will be utilizing, right? They might not have the big budget, but guess what? They get to play in the same space as the big boys. So it sort of levels the playing field for everyone. And that's a huge benefit, right? Because charities, small businesses, they can take advantage of all the like machine learning capabilities, the storage capabilities, the AI capabilities, like the big dogs, Google, the Netflix, those big giants are all doing in the cloud. So again, that's a huge benefit for wherever you are in your journey as a business, charity, whatever it is, as an individual. You get to get the same platform and the same services like these big folks in the space. So I would say that's my personal favorite, right? I built my website utilizing a cloud provider, right? I built my stuff. I got the ability to use AI on my website. I have the same opportunities like these big dogs in the space. So yeah, that's my personal favorite, to be honest.
And you mentioned one word that is very important wherever you are. So you can do it from your house. You can do it from a garage. You can do it as long as you have internet and an account. You can do it from anywhere, and you don't have to spend a cent. So you can start from zero with zero money. So that's a very huge advantage. When you have servers on-prem, you have to procure those servers. You have to pay for those servers. And what happens if you have to scale up and you don't have enough servers? You have to buy more. And what happens if you're crazy and you have more than you need? You have to start selling the ones that you're not using. So that's on premises. You can be either under provision or over provision. And if you're lucky, you're going to be provisioned. So, unlike the cloud, that you can utilize certain resources that can have you stay provisioned at all times. And you don't have to start guessing capacity anymore, which is one of the benefits of the cloud. You can stop guessing capacity. So no more capacity guessing. That's it. I don't have to worry about, I'm missing a server at 1 a.m. in the morning. Let's just have an alarm that wakes me up and say, let me create one more server. No. You can have, auto scaling there to provision those servers that you need, right? Based on, like Iso said, based on number of users, number of connections, or maybe CPU utilization. So whatever metrics you're using to trigger that. So that's another advantage. Yeah.
Funny enough, I've talked to individuals in the space that they've had previous and prior experience having to sort of wake up at an on-premise site to sort of configure stuff because something went wrong, right?
That's crazy.
I have personally not gotten the experience to go through that. So for individuals out there that have gone through that and would like to share their experiences, please, again, feel free to reach out so we can have you on this podcast and talk about it. Because again, I personally not had that experience, or Elsie, you've had similar experience on doing that.
Like with my first job, because I mentioned we only had one server, and every single day someone we actually assigned roles to actually just start the server. So we would have to wake up early in the morning, go to that to that site, and just start the server. And imagine how difficult that could be and how time consuming just to start the server, right?
What about disaster recovery?
Yeah. If it's one server, if it fails, that's it. Everything's down.
A lot of downtime. You have to wait for the other to be running and back up,
and
right?
It comes back to cost, right? It always comes back to cost, right? You're burning money away.
Right. Yeah.
But
those are the main benefits of the cloud. And of course, you pay, the more you buy, the less you pay. For example, the more you use, the less you pay. So it's a different concept. One of my students was asking me, how is it possible that you use more and you pay less? How's that possible, right? But it's just like a bundle. The more you purchase, if you separate each element of that bundle, you're going to pay less if you bought them all together, right? The more you use, right? It's like a bundle, right? Same thing. And another benefit is massive scales of economies, right? So the more users a cloud provider has, then they can pass on those discounts to their customers.
Right.
That's the example of Amazon Web Services, that they have more and more users, and they start getting those discounts and passing them on to the customers. Right. So
absolutely,
if you're a customer of AWS, make sure that you get more people into it, because the more people you get, the more discounts you get. That's one of the benefits, right?
Absolutely. Well, if there's questions in the chat, if there's any questions, I think we've had a steady stream of individuals joining in and leaving. Some people had a drop, but again, we're so excited for this podcast, right? It's something that three of us have been wanting to do for quite a while. We've known each other for quite a bit, so we've always wanted to share the knowledge we've gained over the couple of years that we've worked in the cloud space to our community that we foster and built on LinkedIn specifically, and also on YouTube. Again, shout out to our YouTube channel. If you don't know about our YouTube channel, search for Tech3 on YouTube. We have quite a lot of videos to talk about, or we not even talk about, just we have a lot of videos to cover, demos, presentation on certain topics. So yeah, check our stuff out. But yeah, we appreciate you guys' time. Is there any questions? I think we're trying to wrap this up at the 1 hour mark, right? Or
Yeah. Almost close there. 4 more minutes, right? About
Gotcha.
6 minutes, yeah. Okay, they call us the Three Musketeers. So we're always together, work together, have experiences together, traveling together sometimes, work with the same customers, help each other, right? So we have a lot of stories to tell, but we're going to focus more on everything, not only the technical side, maybe how to find a job as a solutions architect. That could be another topic. And how to, like I said before, how to pass a certain certification. What are the resources?
And I want to emphasize that a lot. Because a lot of our questions that I personally get a lot, and you guys probably get this question a lot too, is how to be a solutions architect, right? We have individuals that might be at an on-prem role, an IT role, whatever, students, right? How do I transition from that specific role into the cloud, right? Is the certifications usually the first step? Yes, it could be, right? But having a certification, again, comes back to having experience building whatever you're studying. So again, in this whole podcast or show we're going to be explaining how that whole process works, but also how to gain experience utilizing projects, certifications, how to do all these things, and what we've personally done to get where we're currently at. So again, it's not just a one-time show where we're going to be talking about all these topics. We're going to be doing this for quite a while, and we look forward to sort of taking this with you guys and keep fostering and building this community and make it a lot more bigger than we currently have. So again, is there any final words from you guys as we sort of wrap this up?
I guess I would say don't get intimidated by the cloud. The cloud is here to help you. Use the tools, use any type of tools that you have, use it for your development, just to expedite anything that you need. And happy to all three of us to be here just helping the whole community.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
As Denise, what about you?
Any
final words? Any final words before we sort of wrap up our first podcast?
I think I have talked a lot, man. I always talk a lot. I'm a talker. I've been a professor for so many years. It's hard to keep me silent. Yeah.
You're perfect for this podcast.
Yeah, man. That's but I'm just an old guy, so I'm just letting the young generations do their thing, right? It's like I said before, we're trying to keep this as interactive as possible, and we're gonna bring different people to talk about a specific topic. And for sure, if you guys post something in the comments, and that's gonna help us a lot because we can tailor our conversations based on what you're asking for, and that's gonna help us. And you're gonna get to know us better as we're gonna be talking about our daily jobs, right? And what we do, how we can become a solutions architect. My story is quite a different one, coming from an English teacher into a solutions architect. I never imagined I'll be exactly here with you guys on a podcast talking about how to become a solutions architect when I was an English instructor, a humble one, many years ago. I'm still a humble guy, right? But I'm a humble solutions architect, not a teacher anymore. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But now we're gonna wrap this up. Again, we tremendously appreciate you guys' time and even just taking a look at what we have going. Again, this is something that was very impromptu. We've always wanted to do this, but I think in the last week or so, we were like, hey, we're getting a lot of messages on different questions. So let's put something together. And that's what came out to be the Tech 3 show. So if there's any question prior to our next show, please feel free to reach out to myself. My LinkedIn is Joel Sante. You have my colleague Dineski Otano and Ezra Mohammed. Again, our LinkedIn. Please reach out to us. If you're currently on our YouTube page, again, go over to LinkedIn, reach out to us, let us know what you want to see. If you're on our YouTube page and you can leave a message, please leave a message letting us know, hey, I like the show. I would like to see more of this specific topic, and we'll go ahead and we'll cover those topics. Again, it's an exciting journey we're looking to take with you guys, and we're really excited for this. We've been really looking forward to doing this for a while. So again, make sure to go to the YouTube page for the folks on LinkedIn. Go like the YouTube channel. Go like the video. Subscribe. All the cool stuff those YouTubers say. Right? We're not YouTubers here. Right? We're tech people trying to figure out how the whole streaming stuff works. So again,
yeah, and then we always say we're customer obsessed, right? That's what we always say. Well, we're gonna treat you as a customers. We're gonna be obsessed with you for sure. So whatever question you have, I mean, guys, let us know, and we're more than happy to cover that, right? If you see,
absolutely.
One day I want to see how this particular service works with this particular service, or how would you do this in the cloud? Here we are. We try our best to show it to you, right? And that's going to be accomplished for sure.
Absolutely. And we're looking forward to it. But with that, I would say it's a Wednesday. Have a lovely Wednesday evening wherever you're located. We're currently located on Central Time. So have a good Wednesday night, and we should definitely update everyone where we're going to go live next. So we're going to make sure to inform because I think we did not a so great job informing people that, again, that's why it's impromptu. We didn't really plan for this. It was sort of like it just happened. So
let's plan to set the stage, right? Like tell our audience what we're going to talk about in next sessions, and
absolutely,
and they're going to be more excited about that, and that's going to be great, man.
Absolutely. Well, again, I appreciate you guys for hopping on our first show ever. It's going to be a journey that we're excited to take. And with that, I'll leave you along with this, and have a good rest of your day.
See you guys.
Bye. Have a good one.